Are Rokid Style Smart Glasses a Ray-Ban Meta killer? And I'm going to Vegas, or am I? Stick with me.
From Studio B in Swarthmore, this is iCantCU. Now, here's David.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of iCantCU, your window into a world where blindness doesn't dictate ability. My name is David, at David Benj on all the socials. I'm really glad you're here for this episode, and let's get straight to it. Rokid Style, Ray-Ban Meta. Now, again, I have the older Ray-Ban Metas. But are the Rokid Styles just as good? The Rokid Styles, they're only 38.5 grams. They record up to 10 minutes of video in 3 different aspect ratios. Now, I was disappointed to learn that 16:9 was not one of them. They are light. The battery can last with typical use up to 12 hours. Everything about them sounds great. They've got a 12 megapixel camera with a Sony technology in there. Everything sounds great about it. We talked about these glasses about a month and a half ago on That Real Blind Tech Show, and I'll link to that episode in the description below. But again, I'm only showing you the Ray-Ban Meta case with the Ray-Ban Metas inside. I ordered my glasses on the 20th of January, and they said that they were waiting on some products to complete the glasses, and, it may take a couple of weeks. Now, we are a month after that, as I record this on the 27th of February. I have nothing other than my credit card charge to show that I ordered them. Nothing. Multiple emails. Hey, where are the glasses? What's going on? Can you give me some insight on when I may receive them? Nothing. So I'm beginning to worry. Now, I know I've seen other folks on YouTube talk about these and show them, and I'm really excited to try them. Now, again, I don't think, even though it says 4K, I do not believe they shoot in 16:9. They shoot in 3 different styles, 4:3, 3:4, and 9:16, which is what the Ray-Ban Metas, actually the Ray-Ban Metas shoot a little bit bigger than that. One thing I know about the Ray-Ban Metas, their battery life is shorter, only about 4 to 5 hours is what I typically get. So that's when I go into Philadelphia for a Keystone chapter meeting and with the NFB, I know that if I wear them on the train going in, before we get to lunch, the glasses are dead. So there's no recording the walking to the restaurant and things like that. So a 12-hour battery sounds outstanding. And recording for 10 minutes is obviously a lot better than recording for 3 minutes. Now, in the past, I've recorded 3-minute bursts. I will record 3 minutes, notice it stops, hit record or say record again, and it'll just keep just have a whole bunch of 3-minute clips. I did that at Laugh for Sight during my friend Brian's set, something I still not have sent him the video of so he can listen to it. Again, everything about the Rokid glasses sound great. Now, if you saw or listened to the last episode, I talked about getting from Philadelphia to Orlando and how great the Ray-Ban Metas worked. I mean, they were outstanding. My biggest issue with the Ray-Ban Metas are when you get a text message, you hear it even if you're in the middle of a discussion, when something else goes on. And I read an article earlier this week that wasn't a tech article. It was an article about distractions and how having your smartphone creates a whole bunch of distractions. And I am not kidding you, when Liz and I sit down to eat dinner, it seems like that's when there are 8 million things going on. I get updates on Apple TV things going on. Watch the Flyers, watch the Sixers. During the spring, it's watch the Phillies. During football season, not during dinner at least, it's Eagles starting, whatever the case may be. The battery life isn't great, and I will be reviewing a battery charger other than the case in an upcoming episode. So stick around for that in the next week or so. But the fact that these rockets came out with such fanfare at CES, and they make other devices. They make ones with a display in them, and they all sound great. But I can't judge them if I don't have them. And I desperately want to try them. The one thing that I'm worried about these glasses isn't really a tech thing. It's, are they comfortable? And I am wearing sunglasses right now because of the lights in the studio. They help a little bit with that. They're not the Ray-Ban Metas. Again, my Ray-Ban Metas are in the case here. Until I can judge them, the Ray-Bans win by default. And I'm hoping that once I do get them, I'd love to try them out with the different AI features, because you can use Google Maps on them and so forth and so on. There's all these different things that you can use. Multiple AI models you can use, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and others. They just sound almost too good to be true. And of course, since they don't shoot in 16:9, they're not too good. Their AI sounds like it's better than the Ray-Ban Metas, but we'll see. Because the Ray-Ban Metas AI is, I'm guessing sooner or later, is going to be Manus that they just bought a month or so ago. But at this point, I don't think they've incorporated Manus into the Ray-Ban Metas. So I'm excited to try them, but I don't know how long I hold on and let them keep my money without getting even a response. And they are GMT +8. I'm GMT -5. So it's a 13-hour time difference. Fortunately, when I send the emails, it is during their normal business hours. It is usually between midnight and 2 or so that I've been emailing. Again, I haven't gotten a response, so maybe that part doesn't even matter. So I'm excited to try them if I ever get them. Now, I have heard, a few episodes ago, I did an episode about the Ally Solos, and I talked about them before they came out. During our NFB of Pennsylvania State Convention, Jonathan Mosen did a session during our tech seminar and said that he couldn't recommend them. I talked to a friend the other day who said they were absolutely garbage. He said he asked it to do certain things. Nothing happened. He finally got them after about 3.5 minutes or so to actually respond to one to one issue that he was asking about, what's in front of me or something like that. So it sounds like they are a bust. And I guess I'm glad I didn't order those, but is that going to be the same case for the Rokid Style? And it sounds like I'm saying rocket, like a spaceship, but it's Rokid, Rokid, Rokid Style. Style is spelled the normal way. And Rokid, I guess, is the normal way because it's a brand name. So I'm not sure what the story is with these, and because I've been, pretty much ghosted by the company. And I've sent 2 or 3 emails. Now, the first email that I sent, I'm not 100% sure that I sent from my email that I ordered them through. So that might be an issue. I put my order number up, but I don't know that I sent them from that email address. The last 2 have been from the email address that I ordered them through. So we'll see what the story is. I will keep you informed. And of course, once I have them, I'll take all sorts of videos and we can gauge how good or bad they are. And the one neat thing about doing the vertical videos, I could do a side-by-side somehow of both the Rokid and the Ray-Ban Metas. I guess I'll just put one up on my forehead, kind of like that, and I'll wear the other, and we'll see how they look. If they look similar, we'll see. I'll figure something out. But I'm interested in having them and taking a look, checking the battery life. My plan was to wear them to a video workshop that I was going to in Las Vegas, but I don't have them. And I will talk more about Vegas in a minute. Hopefully I'll get them. If I don't get them by mid-March, after 2 months, I'll just cancel. I'll have to cancel because it's just ridiculous to continue to wait Is there a problem in the manufacturing? Are they not working right? I don't want to get a pair of glasses that are like the Ally Solos. I certainly don't want, but if they work as advertised, I'm excited to try them. Hopefully they're as comfortable as the Ray-Ban Metas, but again, I can't tell you. Now, I mentioned I was going to go to Vegas to a YouTube workshop. And when I signed up for it, I don't remember if it was October, November, somewhere in that time frame. I was so pumped to go. And I made my hotel reservations in January. I kept watching the flights. I kind of held off on the flights because at the time we weren't sure if Jane was going to go with me. She wanted to go to Vegas and she was thinking about going with me and took the time off from work to go with me. So we waited until she was interviewing for a new position at her dream job, which she has wanted to work for since she graduated from college. She was fortunate enough, and the first agency that she worked for was their representative, and it's Charlotte Tilbury. And she loved working with them, and then they were bought by a company, and they no longer worked with the agency she was at, and she's moved around to a couple of different agencies. But somebody that she worked with at one of those agencies ended up going to Charlotte Tilbury and said that when she could, she wanted to interview Jane, and Jane's been patiently waiting. Okay, maybe not patient. I don't think Jane does anything patiently. But she finally got the call in December. Hey, we've got this position. I'd love for you to be the person. And she interviewed for it and she got the job. So because she moved to Charlotte Tilbury, going to Vegas with me was off the table. And then I booked my travel. I watched the airlines and I booked it. And it was ridiculous, the amount of money I spent on the airfare. It was close to $900. It was I don't remember if it was $867, $877, something in that ballpark. And when I told Jane how much I spent, she said, "Oh my gosh." She said, why don't you fly from Newark or JFK or LaGuardia? 3 airports, 3 different choices, all sorts of nonstops going to Vegas. Philadelphia has 3 nonstops from one airline, and that is American. Now, I can't talk trash about American, and I'll tell you why in a minute. They have I don't remember if it was sometime in the morning, they have an afternoon, and then they have a nighttime flight. I picked the evening flight. I booked my travel using InnoSearch. If you're not familiar with InnoSearch, it is very accessible, especially for flights. And the customer service that I got from InnoSearch, with what I'm going to tell you about in a couple of minutes, made me really happy that I went through InnoSearch. Like I said, I spent close to $900, upper 8s, maybe mid 8s if it was 867, I guess. Booked it, had the hotel, everything was set. Now, when I was in Florida for PodFest, I got a notification on Saturday of PodFest that our Nest doorbell cam went off, and it was around dinner time. And I thought, I wonder what Liz got for dinner. She was backing into the driveway at about 6:15. I'm like, let me go back and see when she left, because I didn't remember seeing a notification on when she left. And I keep going back and back and back. And finally, I call her. I said, I was wondering what you got for dinner, but it seems like you were gone for a while. Is everything okay? She said no. She had to take Ziggy to, I don't know if it was an emergency vet, but there's one that we go to out in Norristown, which is 45 minutes or so, called Metropolitan Vet. I think it's metro-vet.com, where he gets treated for his IBD, and where when there's been other issues with him, we've taken him. And I said, all right, well, and she wasn't going to tell me. She didn't want to tell me until I came home, and I was coming home the next day. I was coming home Sunday. I said, just tell me, come on. Of course, it was bad news. It was probably the worst news that we could get, that Ziggy has lymphoma. They weren't 100% sure. They did a test, which they told us we'd find out in a couple of days, and we found out a week later. And the one thing with lymphoma in dogs, if it goes untreated, if you don't do anything, which I'm guessing if you have an older dog, maybe you don't. If you don't treat it, you're lucky if the dog lasts 4 to 6 weeks. If you treat it, you may be able to get as much as 18 months of quality life. And that is what we're shooting for. So we found out for sure that it was lymphoma, like I said, about a week later. The following week, he went for his first treatment. And he had the treatment. Our treatments are set up for Wednesdays. And he got the first treatment. And within a couple of days, he started throwing up. In fact, when I play with him on the floor, I said, we're in the vomit zone. We're in the throw up zone here. Is it safe to roll around here? Is this good? And of course we cleaned it up. So it's okay. It doesn't even matter. And the doctor who, her name is Dr. Martin. So yes, it's Doc Martin. I don't know if she owns any Doc Martens, but that is her name, which is kind of funny. There's a show on Fox that we watch where it's called Best Medicine, and his name is Martin Best, but everybody calls him Doc Martin. So I think it's kind of funny that we get this doctor named Doc Martin, and I really like her. Liz really likes her, and so we had that treatment on a Wednesday. I want to say Friday was when he started throwing up. Liz took him back to this place. Now, this place, it's called VRC, and I don't remember what the VRC stands for, but as long as you don't call it VCR, then I guess you're good. It's in Malvern, which is closer than Metropolitan, but still about 45 minutes away. And so Liz was there on Friday or Saturday after the Wednesday treatment, and then was back on Monday, and then back on Wednesday for the next treatment. Now, he couldn't have the next treatment because his white blood count was low. So we tried to get him. He had stopped eating. We really thought it was the end. I mean, we really did. And to the point where, well, that was another time. Let me back up. He finally starts to eat again, and he finally starts to turn the corner there. We go back the next week, again on Wednesday, and Dr. Martin said, well, he's just starting to eat again. I think we're okay if we put it off another week. So we put off doing anything for another week. By the end of that week, so again, from Wednesday to Tuesday, by the end of that week, Monday night, he again couldn't jump up on the bed. He couldn't do so many things. And again, we thought that was the end. And it was right before it was President's Day. Jane was starting her new job the day after President's Day. So we didn't tell her how bad it was. Again, we thought that was the end. So I guess it's been twice that we thought, it's, what are we doing? What are we putting him through? And that day and difficult decision will come at some point. But we just wanted him to be his golden menace lunatic self. We wanted him to jump up on the counter and look in the sink to see if there's anything he could have. And he's done that. So whatever treatment he had Wednesday, the 18th, it's one of those, and she called it, she said it's like a miracle drug. And I don't remember what it is. It does something with proteins and things like that. But what happens is you can give it 3 or 4 times, and each time you give it, it works less and less. But by Thursday or Friday, he was doing all the things that he shouldn't be doing, which is why we love him. And I'm sure he ate a tissue or 2. I'm sure he ate a paper towel or 2, because that's his thing. He loves those things. It's weird because he loves cauliflower, tissues, paper towels, but he hates white dogs. There was a white dog at the treatment yesterday, and there's a white dog in our neighborhood here that they just growl and bark and whatever the issue is. I don't know what it is. He does it to some other dogs, but primarily to white dogs. If the dog is white, he doesn't like them. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know if the breeder had another white dog somewhere in the mix, but it's funny. Tuesday, let me back up a little bit. Jane has been, with all this changing jobs and stuff, one other issue has happened with Jane. She had a problem in her bathroom at her apartment, which is an apartment she owns. And she was having a leak in one of the shower spigots to the point where it sounded like a water feature. And she would get mad at me because I'd hear it when we talked on the phone, and she would get angry at me for asking because it literally sounded like it was either pouring rain outside or, like I said, she bought a fountain for her apartment. But it wasn't. And she got an estimate that if she didn't have to do these, I forget what they called them, branch lines, it would be a few $1,000s and she could fix it and be done. But if she had to replace the branch lines, we were talking 13 to 15 grand. The contractor said, if you're going to spend that much, you might as well redo it. It's only going to be a few $1,000s more. So that's what she did. She was waiting to do all this work because not only was this issue happening, one of the apartments above her had water leaking through something, whether it was out their sink, their toilet, their shower, whatever. And she was waiting until they fixed that because why would you want to redo your bathroom and still have a problem with the ceiling, with the water coming in? So she has been either living at our house and commuting back and forth to New York. Her last week at work at Scene, which was the agency that she worked at, she would go up in the morning, come back home at night. Go up in the morning, come back home at night. She did that 3 days in a row, and 3 days in a row, you know what happened on her way home? The trains were delayed for one reason or another. So a 2-hour or so trip between subway and train to Philadelphia took 4 hours. She left work at around 6 and walked in the door at around 10:30 each night. It was all around the same, between 10:30 and 10:45. She did that 3 days in a row. Fortunately, she only had to be in the office 3 days. If she had to be in every day, I don't know how she would have survived. Now, the days when she had events, she would stay in a hotel. She stayed in a hotel a few nights on several occasions. So I don't know what her out-of-pocket has been for doing this, but it's been delayed. And so between everything going on with Ziggy and everything with her apartment, it's just been it's been a difficult time for all of us here. And so her plan was to be here in this house when I was in Vegas. So I thought, okay, that's good because treatment day is Wednesday. So I knew Liz would be home. My plan was to fly out on Wednesday and take the red eye back on Friday night, getting me into Philadelphia Saturday morning at around 7. Knowing that Liz is home on Saturday and obviously after work. But the more I thought about it, even if Jane was going to be here, she has to work and it's a new job. She can't just constantly, if Ziggy's having an issue, she can't stop while she's on a conference call or dealing with somebody. She talked with some very cool businesses the other day, and they are both in sports. I think she'd yell at me if I told you who they were, so I'm not going to tell you. But just trust me, both were very cool. And when the snow came last week on Sunday into Monday, her office was closed Monday and Tuesday because while we got about 14 inches here in Philadelphia, they got around 20 inches in New York. So the office was closed Monday and Tuesday. So that pushed back when she was going to go in, because she was going to go into the office on Tuesday and Wednesday, coming home late on Wednesday. And again, because Wednesday is a treatment day, Liz would be home with Ziggy, not an issue. So I felt comfortable on paper when we talked about it, when I booked the trip. But the more I thought about it, and with the issue that we saw, which with the first chemo drug, where he wasn't eating and then he started throwing up, the worst drug of them all was the one he got this past Wednesday. And I forget what they call it, Red Death or something like that. And knock wood, at the time I'm recording this, he has been okay. He's actually was pretty good today. He was okay yesterday. And again, we have seen a trail off from Monday night or Tuesday with he wasn't as energetic. He wasn't jumping up on the counter. He wasn't, even today, he had an okay day until Liz came home. And when he saw Liz backing into the driveway, he got excited, and he was good because then Jane came home and he got excited again. So it was up till the time he went to bed. From about 4:00 on, it was a good day for him. Again, not his former self, but pretty close. Not quite to the Golden Menace level. And that's what we want him to be at, the Golden Menace level. As I say to him all the time, and he probably thinks his name is Sometimes, because I said, you're a good boy sometimes. And we want him to be that way. That's the exact kind of dog we wanted. And today, he did do one thing today. I heard him upstairs. Liz and I were in the living room. And I heard him upstairs. And I said, do you have clean clothes anywhere up there? Because it sounds like he's getting into something. And then he comes downstairs with a shirt in his mouth. No, it wasn't clean clothes. It was a brand new shirt Liz had ordered from, I think the company's called Life is Good. And she said, oh my God, you got something on it already. It's, if he lasts through the end of the year, it'll be something. I don't know if that's the case. We'll have to see. And like I said earlier, it's going to be, the time will come when that decision needs to be made. But when I thought about that with Jane, and I thought even if she was there was no way I could go, because I can't ask her to, I stay with him when I'm here with him during the day, I am always by his side unless I'm using the bathroom or in the kitchen making something. And when I'm in the kitchen, he comes in with me. And now, because he started eating again with everything, he eats everything. Not his food, don't get me wrong. He hates his food now. So each day for breakfast and dinner, he gets tilapia, sweet potato, and rice. So every day Liz is making a cup of rice and at least one sweet potato, unless they're small, then she makes two. And then I supplement with peanut butter, with cheese, oyster crackers he loves. He loves tomatoes. I don't give him too many of those, the little grape tomatoes. So I just made up my mind on, I want to say it was Tuesday, Monday night into Tuesday, that I wasn't going to go. And then Tuesday morning, Liz's alarm went off around a half an hour or so after I got into bed. And she got up, and as soon as the water turned on, he jumped out of bed. The bathroom is right behind where our heads are in the bed. And he heard the water go on, and I don't know if that triggered something or he just had to go, but he needed to go outside. So I put some clothes back on, and I went downstairs, and he was outside for maybe 15 minutes until about 5 o'clock. That was about 4:45 to 5 o'clock, or maybe 4:35 to 4:50, whatever it was. And he did that 2 or 3 days in a row. And we said that to the doctor, and she didn't know what the story was there. Now, fortunately, this morning he did not do that. Today was the first morning he didn't do that. But if I was in Vegas, how was Liz going to get up and take care of him and then still go to school, and then Jane while she was working. How was that gonna happen? And so it validated my not going. And I can't tell you how much I wanted to go. I was so looking forward. I have a list of questions for this group. This is something I went to, not this exact thing. This is a much smaller thing. I went to an event, I want to say 2 years ago, and called Grow with Video Live. And it was 3 days. It was awesome. And I was so excited for this because it was a follow-up. It's in person. You get that face-to-face with other creators and folks that have many more downloads and views and whatever the case may be. I guess views for YouTube, is what we're talking. So I was so disappointed that I just knew I couldn't go, though. I just couldn't, because now, as it turned out today, would it have been okay? Yeah, probably. But what if he threw up a couple of times and then the person, since Jane just came home today, we would have had somebody come over and take care of him, but that person doesn't sit with him all day, comes over for half an hour, and lets him out and whatnot. But what if he's throwing up or has diarrhea? He can't, we still crate him when we go out. And maybe more so now, because if he starts throwing up and he's not in the crate, who knows what kind of surprises we'll find. So today would have been okay, I think. I don't think it would have been fair to him to be locked away for so long. It killed me to not go, but I knew it was the right call, because I just knew that it would be too much for Jane to both work and take care of him, that it wouldn't have been fair to her, especially maybe if she was still at the old job. Maybe. But that wouldn't have been fair to the agency. But this, she just started. I mean, she's ending her second week at this place. And it just wouldn't have been fair. Or maybe even doable. So we're just trying to make him as comfortable as possible. And we take him for a lot of car rides. We give him a lot of food that maybe he shouldn't have. Because then I had some ice cream for dessert today. I let him lick the bowl. Now, he's had ice cream in the past, but it's the Ben & Jerry's doggy ice cream, which, by the way, is very good. I've eaten it. But we didn't have any of that today, so I just let him lick the vanilla Milk John. Just let him lick the bowl of the vanilla ice cream, and he seemed to like it. Now, we have to be careful because, again, he does have IBD, so he can't have any chicken or meat. But the tilapia has been okay. He seems to like it and hasn't given him any trouble. But for now, he seems to be doing okay, and hopefully that'll be the case. But I have a lot of places to go over the next. Vegas was one. Next week, I'm supposed to be in Harrisburg. I'm staying over from Thursday into Friday. I have a day-long meeting on Friday. I don't think I'll be doing that. The following week, I'm supposed to be in Camp Hill, which is just outside Harrisburg. The National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania has a table in the exhibit hall of a deaf and hard of hearing expo. And remember, deaf-blind is a thing, so that's why we're there. And so I don't think I'll be going to that either. I'm playing it by ear, but I don't see how I could go as time moves on, and we'll have to see how he does each week with the treatment. The one thing with the Friday, the person who normally comes over isn't available on Fridays. So, and like I said earlier, Liz has used all of her days off. So she can't come home for those. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I'll play it by ear, but I have some other things going on with the BEP on Wednesday. So I won't be going to the treatment with them on Wednesday because I'll be doing a day-long evaluation for the business enterprise program, which honestly, at this point, I don't know how I'm going to do with having to watch him constantly and all the other things that I do, I don't know how I'm going to do that. But I'll keep going forward and we'll see. I talked to, as far as the BEP goes, I talked to someone who I was in a leadership seminar with. This guy's name is Frank. He's from New Mexico. I saw him in Washington at Washington seminar, and he said, well, it's an investment. I said, well, how much did you, in money? I said, it didn't seem like it was a lot of money, and it's not an investment of money. It's very low threshold to get into it as far as money goes. 5 to 10 grand and you're in. It's the time. I've been doing this one, I don't know what you would call it, course that you have to pass from Mississippi State. And I've done 1 out of 7 because I'm doing Federation Focus. I'm doing White Canes Connect. I'm doing other NFB things. I was in Carlisle, PA a couple of weeks ago. And there's only so many hours in the day. I can't do any of it while I'm with Ziggy. I just can't because now if he's taking a nap, I can go on my phone and do some things, sure, but I can't send I I can't send a business email on my phone by dictation. And my hands don't work well enough to type out a decent length business email. Now, he will sometimes come down here into Studio B, but he doesn't come down much since he's been sick. He didn't come down much to begin with, but even less now. He'll sometimes come down with Liz if she comes down. But I just don't know how I'm going to do the BEP and Ziggy. And like I started to say, so all these things that I'm scheduled to do, I'm not going to be able to do. The NFB National Convention is in Austin, Texas in July. And Liz was going to go, but she can't go. Ziggy has treatment. Now, Jane did say that she could come home, but that's, again, a lot to do for her. And I don't know that he would be as comfortable with Jane as he is Liz. Don't get me wrong, he loves us all, but Liz is the winner. He will come to me when he wants food. He will go to Liz for everything else. When she gets home from work, like I said earlier, he's so excited. So it's just going to get worse, and then it's going to get really bad. And then, we'll see. But, hopefully we can keep him comfortable and happy and through the end of the year. I don't know that that's the case. We'll just have to play it by ear. Like I said, the doctor said 3 or 4 treatments of that quote unquote miracle drug is about all they could get out of it. So that would be every 4 weeks because it's 3 days of treatment. 3 weeks of treatments once a week and then a week off. And they check the blood and they check some other things. He had also lost around 10 pounds. Now, this week, he had gained 2 pounds back. So that part was good. I mean, he's eating constantly. Peanut butter. He loves baguettes. He loves any kind of bread. We were out of baguettes, so I gave him white toast, which same thing. He loves it. He's a carb guy. Pasta. I haven't made him pasta yet. But we got a baguette, and he eats those. He loves the pretzel. Sunday is pretzel day because Liz gets one at the market from me, and I share it with him. And that's usually a 3-turner. If you ever saw a dog when they get excited for something, a lot of times with the pretzel, he'll do 3 turns. So that's where we stand with Ziggy, why I didn't go to Vegas, and what we have to look forward to, which, it's not going to be great. It's just not. There's no way around it. We'll see. Hopefully we can get through the summer and into fall with the treatments where he's pretty good. But again, if it comes down where he has more days like the few days that he had when things where he couldn't jump on the bed and whatnot, we won't let them suffer. And Liz and I have already talked about that. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I do appreciate you joining me for this episode of iCantCU. It's episode 296. So we're closing in on 300. If I stuck to my normal pace, we would have been to about 320 by now. But I do appreciate you joining me for this episode. Please, if you have questions, comments, leave the comments down below if you're watching on YouTube, or you can shoot me an email, iCantCUpodcast@gmail.com, iCantCUpodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach out via phone, 646-926-6350. You've got up to 3 minutes. Leave your name and town if you do leave a voicemail, and I will use it on an upcoming episode. Of course, you could always leave a video comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you send me your video comments, though, I will include it in an upcoming episode. But thank you so much. Reach out on the socials, David Benj, DavidBenj, and check out the website for the episode and the link to the YouTube video, iCantCU.com/296, iCantCU.com/296, numerically speaking. And remember, iCantCU sounds like a whole sentence, but it's only 7 characters long. I, capital C, A, N, T, capital C, capital U, .com/296. Thanks again for joining me. Be well, stay safe, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining David on this episode of iCantCU. Please subscribe on your favorite platform. Like and comment on this episode on YouTube.